I'm Amy Zawi with the Jerusalem Connection Red Alert Report for Wednesday, January 6, 2021. Happy New Year to you all. A war with words? In our continued effort to expose the BDS movement, that is, Boycott, Divest, and Sanction, a movement designed to delegitimize and demonize the state of Israel, and as such demonstrates its roots and inspiration of antisemitism under a cloak of anti-Zionism. The BDS movement claims to be about buzzwords such as social justice, occupiers, oppressors, and even apartheid, and ironically the notion of a right of return. The problem is the use of buzzwords as such, including right of return, oppressors, and expulsion, are all twisted up in a narrative that is often unchallenged and as such gains naive followers on college campuses, within political communities, various organizations, economic associations, and even within the entertainment industry. The BDS movement on college campuses is spearheaded by several nefarious groups, and most commonly in the U.S. it is the Students for Justice in Palestine, the SJP, an organization whose roots and foundations are blatantly traced back to terrorist and unabashed Jew haters. An attempt to legitimize their position includes partnering with an organization called the Jewish Voice for Peace, a group not at all representative of American Jewry. But cloaked under the label of a student organization and wearing the veil of human rights and justice advocates, the SJP and other organizations like it on college campuses uses buzzwords that perk up the ears of the inquisitive and well-meaning students and then lure them into a position of hate and intolerance under the guise of, you guessed it, tolerance. One way the movement causes divisiveness and proves that it is not truly seeking any problem solution avenues is that BDS organizers present their arguments, leading receivers to feel only one of two ways, void of any nuance or perspective, let alone historical context or even true contemporary facts. According to a report by Honest Reporting titled Hiding Behind Buzzwords, How BDS Spreads Like Its Anti-Israel Agenda, by Sarah Goldstein, posted in November 2020, she is quoted as, BDS has contributed to fostering a binary political social environment which each individual believes that they are forced to make a choice. That is, either advocate against Israeli policies and as a corollary be on the right side of history, or by contrast, defend Israel and be considered an oppressor. Unquote. The end result is that if one is even Jewish by identity, they must renounce all ties to the land and the state in order to free themselves of any accompanying label of disdain, because without that renunciation, the Jew or even the Jew supporter or Israel supporter is then by definition an oppressor or even a genocidal racist. In addition to basic buzzword abuse of social justice, occupiers, oppressors, and even genocidal racists, BDSers apply all sorts of hackle-raising words to their so-called arguments, including the annual and often uncontested Israel Apartheid Week that BDS proponents put on college campuses for an entire week, literally using the term apartheid in the most erroneous way. Even South Africans themselves, even the most ardent anti-apartheid South Africans who lived through the Reformation, will attest and declare that Israel is not an apartheid state and bears no resemblance to apartheid South Africa. But those voices are often unheard and ignored by academics, let alone the press, and are certainly under wraps by BDS proponents. The result of Israel Apartheid Week is not an educational forum designed to carefully examine the problems of the Middle East and its full context and history from which it has sprung, but rather to spend a week bashing Israel and ultimately intimidating Jews on campuses throughout North America and even threatening speakers who come to provide any counterposition. Threats are also lobbied against any student, faculty, or even bystander who doesn't seem to go along with the BDS narrative. a narrative that ultimately vilifies and proclaims Israel, or Jews, as foreign to the land and basically the root of all the problems in the Middle East, and of course they are resulting in the direct suffering of all non-Jews in the region. Never mind that Israel is comprised of not just Jews, but also Arabs who are Muslims and Christians, as well as other ethnic groups, including the Druze, all of whom enjoy equal rights under the law in the only Middle East nation that is a democracy with a judicial arm, and equal protection under the law for all its citizens, no matter their gender, religion, race, cultural, or even sexual identity. Any alien that came from outer space to Earth seeking a most progressive and tolerant society demonstrating the bastions of civil liberty under a representative government, well, Israel would likely to be held up not just above all its regional neighbors, but even held up as the best example in the world. So why the disdain? The age-old anti-Semitic vein of hatred born of a spiritual nature and manifesting in new ways but repeated ways with every generation. It is anti-Semitism. Keep your eyes open of critical words. Words matter, and we have all seen, even this week in the U.S. Congress, that rewriting and redefining words are a form of warfare. Do not be led astray. Shavua Tov, and have a great week.